It's Monday, November 2nd, 2015. I'm Rym.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, don't drop your phone.
Let's do this.
So, Emily and I kind of went to Disney for an extended period.
Disney World.
There was a wedding of some friends that we sort of booked and did the thing all at the last minute. Like, I booked flights like a week before
It's not
we
a hard
went.
place to go to. Disney World and Vegas are like the two easiest places to go to. Like, you can go whenever the hell you want.
I'm going to say that Vegas is easier to go to than Disney.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you have money and you can go, like, at the drop of a hat, you can get on a plane and get a hotel at either of those locations.
Yep. So actually, though, we got to stay because the wedding was for a military family. We got to stay at a resort that is otherwise only accessible to military people.
That's cool.
Yeah, Shades of Green. It's like right in the park next to the Polynesian. I never knew it existed. And it was actually kind of cool, except we had to show a special ID card the whole time we were there to get back into the facility.
Okay.
But otherwise, it was great. We'll probably do a special show where we'll review Disney World because we've just been there now, and I got a lot to say about Disney.
I was there in the 90s.
Yeah, we'll do a three-way show, the three of us, because I got updates. Like, some things have changed and some things have not changed. And the only thing I want to say that's relevant to Monday, Geek Nights, is that Universal Studios has an app for like, hey, I'm at Universal Studios, and it's awesome. Disney has an app for I'm at Disney.
It sucks.
It's garbage.
Okay.
It has one of the worst UXs.
You should figure out which companies they hired to make each app.
I mean, they're
And hire
superficially
the one.
they're so superficially similar in like the way they're laid out that I actually suspect they're made by the same company. But like in the Disney app, if you want to see the map of the park you're in, that's actually really hard to do.
That's the most important thing.
And if
then
you
I
want
don't have to carry around a stupid paper map with me.
And if you want to do a fast pass of like, hey, I want to ride Space Mountain, and then it'll tell you like, all right, come back at 1, and you can skip most of the line and do like a quick thing, which they do. It's free.
Yep.
Good luck getting the app to actually set that up for you.
Here's what I don't understand.
You needed
Back in the day,
Yep.
what is technology related, right? So I went to Disney World in the 90s.
I went to Disney in 97, and
when
I
I
went
wanted to-
in like 89.
Sure, and I wanted to go on the Splash Mountain. I just
Yep.
got in line.
And waited like 3 hours.
I didn't wait 3 hours. I went at a good time. I waited like less than an hour.
Well, because the line's got stuff going on.
Oh, yeah. And then I did a little Splash Mountain, and then I was on my way. But nowadays, I get a little line to Splash Mountain. I get to the top. I got this phone I do not want to take with me on the splashing mountain.
Yeah, so actually...
Where the fuck do you put your phone if you go to Disney World when you splash on the mountain? And how do you get it back when you're done splashing?
So at Universal, there are lockers outside of every ride that are free and fingerprint controlled.
That's pretty good.
At other resorts like Cedar Point, there's lockers on the platforms that you just put your stuff in, and then when you come back on the ride, you take your stuff out.
You hope no one takes your shit?
They keep an eye on it, like it's usually fine.
Uh-huh. Does it say, leave your stuff here at your own risk?
So that was never a problem for me. Also, if you're going to honestly, most rides at Disney, in fact, I'd say every ride at Disney, you can just keep your phone in your pocket.
Yeah,
it's
I think you can
fine.
take your phone on the teacups. It's
You
only
can
the
take your
Splash
phone on
Mountain.
every roller coaster in Disney just fine from a don't lose your phone
Yeah,
perspective.
except the Splash Mountain.
You know what? Splash Mountain, your phone would be fine. You don't get that wet.
You get pretty wet.
You don't get that wet.
It's not called Dry as Bone Mountain or Desert
Yeah,
Island
it's
Mountain.
Splash Mountain, not Drench Mountain. Not, what's the name of the Russian roulette thing at Cedar Point? Where
So when you
get
went to Universal, did you go to Universal Studios or did you go to the Adventure Island?
both.
Oh, okay.
Because there's Halloween shit going down. So we went to Universal Studios for like the whole day. And then at 5, they basically kicked everybody out.
At
And
5? What?
Because starting at 7 until midnight, it was special haunted Jason vs. Freddy, like fucked up Nightmare Land,
Okay.
which actually looked really cool.
Why
But
didn't you go to that?
Because instead we only had a few days. So instead we went over to Islands of Adventure and rode the Dragon Challenge a bunch of times because that's
the twin roller coasters.
it used to
that
be
are-
Dueling Dragons.
Yeah.
It is. So in all of
That's pretty good.
in all of like Disney
Did you ride the
Universal,
Incredible Hulk that sneakily?
No, it's fucking shut down and they've torn half of it apart. They're renovating it.
Oh, did you ride the Spider-Man ride?
No, but I rode the Simpsons ride, which
That was not there when I went there in the
yeah,
90s.
yeah. So you know what? The Simpsons ride is kind of amazing. That technology.
The Spider-Man ride was amazing in the 90s, so I'm sure I'm sure the Simpsons ride is
the
updated.
MGM Back to the Future ride.
Is way ghetto because it's super old.
Was way amazing back in the day.
They updated it? Oh.
But let me tell you, the technology, the Harry Potter area was off the fucking hook.
Well, that used to be Gennaro Fantasy area with the dragons.
There
right?
are 2 Harry Potter places.
When I was there, it was just Gennaro Fantasy area.
Yeah, it is kind of off the hook, but the sort of roller coaster 4D-ish rides that are the Harry Potter at the 2 sides, way impressive from a tech standpoint.
Did they still have the Popeye water ride there, or they changed
I
the
saw
theme
that.
of that?
We didn't ride it, though.
That's a really good water ride. You get in a giant tube, and it goes all over, and you know what? You can't bring your phone on that shit.
Yeah. But it was interesting because honestly, there are only a handful of roller coasters in the entire Disney Universal area that are on par with what I call.
It's a theme park. It's not a thrill park.
Exactly.
They have some thrills, but not a lot.
Dueling Dragons, the Hulk, which I didn't ride, the Hollywood Rocket in Universal, which I didn't ride as a kid because I guess it wasn't there.
I don't know what that is.
So it's actually a legit roller coaster, but it's weird because it wasn't like the kinds of roller coasters I'm familiar with. So I went and looked up the deal. Because there's only 3 or 4 companies that make legit roller coasters. There's Intamin, there's Aerodynamics, there's M&B. That's pretty much it. No one else makes roller coasters worth a shit. And I couldn't I know a lot about roller coasters. Emily started to learn that I'm that guy if roller coasters come up. Let me tell you about roller coasters.
I'm sure there's a guy who's more that guy than you.
I thought that, but there's only a few. I'm actually kind of up there. But the roller coaster was weird. So finally, we were having drinks later, and I went on Wikipedia, and I'm looking up the deal. Universal apparently made this thing on their own. It was an outsider roller coaster, so that's why it didn't have, the normal roller coaster tropes, and it did weird stuff that, for good reasons, other roller coasters don't do. It was fun, but it was weird.
Did you go to Epcot Land?
Yeah.
Did you go to the back where all the countries are?
Yeah.
Did
you know what?
There's a Viking boat ride still there?
That was shut down. We couldn't ride it.
No Viking boat ride.
Yeah.
No.
The whole time I was like,
no.
There's this log flume troll
That's the
ride.
best. No.
I kept looking for it, and then finally we figured out that it's just shut down for some reason.
My Viking boat.
Yeah,
that's the best.
But
that's the only reason to go to Epcot.
But there was a food festival going on, so independent.
Well, it's always a food festival.
No, double food festival. So there's
food festival.
So there's normal Epcot, right?
They have the food of every country in each country place. That's the point.
So in between all the countries that have been there forever, they added twice as many little countries that were just a food pop-up stand. So twice as much food.
Is Figment still there?
I learned a lot about Figment.
Figment's my boy.
Emily had this vague memory of Figment.
Figment's my boy.
And the
what are you
little
talking
squares you jump on at the end.
Yeah.
So Emily had this vague memory of that. So I vaguely
remember Figment very clearly.
Yep. So
totally...
imagination. The moral of Figment was basically, hey, I'm Science Dad, here to teach you about science. And Figment's like, oh fuck no, you're not. I'm gonna fart all over everybody.
That's right.
So I think we'll do a show on Disney separately. But
Figment's
seriously,
my boy. The dragon. There's no other dragons. I mean, Pete's dragon doesn't even really show up at Disney World.
I know they should bring that back.
Yeah,
Dueling Dragons is there, but that's Harry Potter.
That's not Disney World.
It's Universal. It's all the same thing as far as I'm concerned.
It's 2 completely different companies, have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking about different parks because
is that Nickelodeon
Disney,
thing still at Universal?
MGM, which is now Disney Hollywood Studios, those are also separate parks. So.
Well, but MGM is part of Disney World.
Well, no, yeah, but it's a separate park with a separate ticket.
It's always been a separate
park.
I know,
but now it's not MGM. Now it's
actually... The thing is, when you go to Disney World, you're supposed to buy the 3-park ticket, and you could take the monorail to go between the 3 parks.
You can, the park hopper. I know all about that.
Is it the same old-ass monorail from the 60s
Yep,
or 70s?
unchanged.
Yeah, it's a good monorail.
I also learned a lot about the monorail and how that technology... So I was looking up, who's died at Disney, and I found the monorail article, and apparently in the 80s... one of the cars caught on fire and almost killed everybody on it. And apparently some dad fucking kicked the windows out and pulled everyone to safety on the roof, and they hid from the fire until some crazy
How did they get onto the roof of the monorail?
Yeah, some crazy crap went down apparently. There's a Wikipedia article
if you go out the window
it.
of the monorail, you're going down.
Yeah, it's not that tall. You could get off of it. You could jump from that and maybe break a leg, but otherwise be okay.
Hit the trees. What are you talking about? It's high up. At least I remember it being high up.
Yeah, you know what? I remember a lot of things being way higher up and bigger that I went back as an adult, not so big.
Okay.
Anyway, the Disney app, garbage. If you want to navigate around Disney, just use Google Maps.
Oh, Google Maps, not a paper map?
No, just use Google Maps.
Google Maps has all the rides and everything?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So, you got any tech news?
Not really. This is non-tech news, but our friends, our non-friends at Anonymous.
Some of them might be our friends. I mean,
So-
Anonymous. I mean, I'm an Anonymous, I guess.
Sure, whatever. They are doing this thing where they are releasing the identities of thousands of people in the KKK.
Supposedly, they got it from like hacking a Twitter account and like following threads from
Right.
that.
So the official statement that, the statement that somebody made who claims to be
All
anonymous.
statements from Anonymous are official statements.
Obviously, yes. They're basically saying, look, we're not doing this because of what you believe, because obviously Anonymous super believes in freedom of speech, even racist speech, which we also believe in at Geeknights. But the KKK was threatening, or at least some KKK people were threatening to engage violently in Ferguson protests, because they're the KKK.
Well, because the KKK
They wanna
has a
be-
history of one, being a bunch of racist dickbags, but secondly,
maybe has a history of they are. That is is what they are.
But secondly, also has a
Those
history of
people
being.
who go to PAX have a history of being gamers.
But it's also has a history of being a straight
Rym
up.
and Scott have a history of being podcasters.
Ah.
Yeah.
But a straight up terrorist organization.
Sure.
So
So they're like, but because you are going to be violent, that's why we're going to attack you. And you know what? A+, let's find out who these KKK people are and make their lives miserable.
now, the nuance is it's a leak from Anonymous, which could be basically it's some guy.
Yeah.
So
Some
it comes
some
down
people
to
on the internet.
things like corroborating evidence, because I poked around the leak, and a lot of those addresses are .ru addresses, which is already a little odd.
Maybe
and
the KKK people are getting Russian email addresses to hide themselves.
I
Maybe-
would not suspect them to be that smart. And the other part of this is that it looks like a lot of the phone numbers are also complete bogus. Like a lot of them are just fax machines,
Oh,
like random companies. So
yeah, well, whatever.
I'll wait for this to be vetted.
The point
but
is, even whether it's the information is accurate, right? I want, a lot of people are saying, well, look at this here, right? We don't like the KKK, but we also don't like revealing people's identities and
which that's a conflict that I have in my day-to-day life.
and their personal information. And they're like, it's not cool if you go and put like, say some feminist journalist information online so that people can harass her.
Now, here's what I would say.
Why is it okay to put out the information to some KKK person to harass them? And the answer I give to you is because principle is bullshit. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's right. It's like, it's okay to kill some horribly sick and old person who's suffering. It's not okay to kill some young and healthy person.
Wait, Scott,
it's perfectly okay to make the life of some KKK dickbag miserable. It's not okay to make the life of a good person miserable.
It's almost
all
like
there
you're
is to it.
arguing that situations require a nuanced and individual approach when making decisions.
You don't say. But
Huh.
there seems to be like people on the internet, especially people who like to argue on the internet, like they can't escape principle. Like they'll be like, especially like libertarian types, it's like they're like freedom. And it's like they'll come across an issue and they apply their principle to it. And even if they like don't agree with something like racism or whatever it is, right? They can't. They'll be like, oh my God, it'll be, it's like,
Well, it depends. Like, I'll do
it's,
that for
it's
some
like
principles.
reverse cognitive dissonance. Like,
Well, like, for example,
cognitive
I-
dissonance is when you contradict yourself, but you don't realize it. You can't, right? Your brain is separating. This is like the opposite. It's like you have to be consistent every time.
Well, here's
you
the
can
thing.
avoid
There-
both
I
of
will-
those by being inconsistent, recognizing it, and not giving a shit.
There's a way to get around that without being inconsistent, and it's to have a complex philosophical and ideological heuristic. I mean, I take a very absolutist stance on free speech. Like I'm a radical when it comes to free speech. I think that's probably one of the most important rights that humans have. But at the same time, I'm pretty okay with, for example, a university saying the MRAs can't have their club.
Sure.
And I can back that up. The problem is that people will make pronouncements like this from an ideological standpoint, but they can't really argue their point that effectively because their point is actually very simple and thus very prone to holes that they then have to leap over with cognitive dissonance or stubborn hobgoblin-like fixation on a very simple idea.
Yes.
So, you know what? My stance on this is if the problem is leaks like this could be entirely fabricated to ruin someone's life.
Yes, they could be.
But
It's if someone is on the list who's not in the KKK, that would be very, very bad.
or if lynch mobs appear on the internet, the irony of saying it that way, to go after like a gay rights activist.
that's not cool. But
Yeah.
if a lynch mob appears to go after a KKK lynch mob, I'm down. In fact, I might even join up.
What if the lynch mob actually kills someone?
Is it a KKK person?
It's someone who was in the KKK at least within the last 10 years.
I don't know. not too regretful.
I'm going to put it this way. This is a situation.
Not feeling too bad about it.
I'm going to analogize this the way I analogize awesome graffiti. If someone does some awesome graffiti and gets caught, I feel like they should still get fined for the graffiti, but the judge should high-five them on their way to pay the fine.
Don't high-five the KKK.
No. High-five Anonymous, unless this leak is BS. But yeah, this kind of thing
that'd be a good deal, right? For every person on the list that's fake, you get nothing. For every person on the list that wasn't actually in the KKK, we're going to cane you once. And for every person on the list who isn't the KKK, we're going to high-five you once and give you a cupcake.
There is a real interesting thing, though, with this sort of doxing and information of
it is free speech in and of itself to share information, even if it's someone's address and name and phone number.
But where, again, this comes to the problem of there were lines that existed solely because technology was inefficient in distributing that information. Like, if someone...
Yes, in 1700, they didn't even have the telephone when they made the First Amendment.
In 1980... it was real hard to know if someone was a criminal or in the past, or had, like, what if someone's, like, family was murdered or something, like details about someone's past, like that person was abused as a kid or something. That information was in the public domain in some fashion, but was obscured by poor technology.
You would have to go to different towns to the halls of records and hang out with some detectives and some clerks and read a lot of shit.
It meant there was a lot of information that was technically public, but actually required a lot of effort and will to uncover. Technology has now made it such that it requires minimal will and zero effort to uncover that kind of information.
I don't know how, but see, private investigators seem to be getting more work lately and not less, which I think is just because people are incompetent at searching.
Yeah, well, like, the KKK guys, I'm pretty sure their password to the Twitter account, which is how they got all this info, was something like White Power 69.
Probably.
So yeah, if this is all legit, I'm just gonna smirk and otherwise not really have a strong opinion. Whatever happens, happens. So something happened in Turkey, and a lot of you
gobble,
probably
gobble gobble turkey time soon.
Expected it's coming.
Couple weeks away. The turkey time.
I heard Christmas music today on my way to work.
Yeah, I was expecting the lights to be already on the trees outside work today, but they're actually a little bit later than last year. Last year, I'm pretty sure it was November 1st, as soon as Halloween was over.
I'm waiting for the real day is the day Robert Koo plays Christmas music in the Penny Arcade office.
Tomorrow.
So Turkey is in the middle of political turmoil, and Erdogan, I guess, won the big election, but
who is that person? Is that the person you would have voted for if you lived in Turkey?
My opinion, no.
Okay.
So
not good.
Long story short, the Turkish government decided to delay daylight saving time because the election and fuck you.
So that the election, so people wouldn't miss the election because getting the times wrong?
Well, there's a lot of argument as to what the actual rationale was, but...
it's not the worst reason.
No,
I mean, if election day happens to be the day where you set the clock back, a lot of people might miss going to the polls.
They decided this, a few days, not that long ago. This wasn't something...
you got to plan that in advance.
Yeah,
it can't be last second.
The Turkish government said daylight saving time delayed. So, all right... a lot of you out there probably don't know how your computer knows daylight saving time because...
NTP?
No, NTP doesn't do that. NTP has nothing to do with that. So operating systems have zone files that say, it's just big text files that say, these are all the time zones from UTC.
You got to get a Windows update.
Yeah, you had to get a Windows update. Your phone had to get an update.
But it would only matter if you lived in Turkey.
Or you interact with anyone in Turkey, or at a meeting with a calendar anywhere in Turkey, or relied on any server that was in Turkey.
Visited a website of a person in Turkey.
It got even worse because, and I'll link to this.
You wanted to buy something from Turkey.
So this actually happens kind of often, but it only happens in countries that don't understand technology and their governments make these. So here's the list. I'm going to link this to you because when this shit happens, weird shit goes down. An example is Java internally.
A tiny, minuscule, meaningless island with a funny name.
That's a good way to describe that programming language. Hey-o! Has its own zone files. So normally people just keep Java up to date, but if you're running an enterprise application on a server somewhere, you don't update Java just every time it comes down because Java breaks shit. So usually stage that stuff in. So if you use any libraries within Java that are aware of time zones, they might find out what time zone or whatever from the system, but Java uses its own embedded stuff. So you either need to always keep your Java 100% up to date, meaning when Turkey said we're going to mess with the time for no good reason, you'd better have gotten a Java update like immediately, or Java might know a different time zone from your system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in Ubuntu, like in most Linux systems, that people are always if your distro is maintained, somebody's updating the zone files. So if you just keep getting updates automatically or by hand every day or whatever, you're going to get your updated zone files all the time, and almost all the software will use those zone files. However, let's say you got, I don't know, MySQL database, right? MySQL database, there's this command called MySQL _tzinfo_to, as in TO _SQL. And what you do is you type this command, then you press space, then you type in the path where your zone files are, usually user local, like, zone file or whatever it is, right? Or user something local time.
Yep.
And it will read the zone files and then insert into a database in MySQL, like the MySQL database inside your MySQL database server, all that zone information. And then you can now, once you've done this and you sort of filled up your MySQL database with zone information, you can now convert times within MySQL itself. Like in a query, you can be like tz convert whatever, which is really freaking handy because you're going to put all the times in your database are going to be UTC always if you're smart, right? And then you can just do select, convert time zone New York, comma, time, whatever. And then when your query results come out, they'll already be New York time. You won't have to do anything in your application.
How many of you who use MySQL have ever heard any of this?
All right, anyway.
Yeah.
Let's say, now there's an Ubuntu update for Turkey just happened, right? Did you reload your MySQL time zone info? Because it doesn't do it on its own.
Yeah.
If you try to convert a Turkey time zone with your database, even if you did this, say, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, it's going to get it wrong.
So with Java, it's the same thing. So earlier this year, North Korea and Morocco both decided...
Morocco?
Morocco. Both decided to change...
Morocco mole?
...their time zone stuff
Secret
for no
squirrel?
reason. Egypt also did earlier this year. Multiple times. And Mongolia, yeah. So...
Super Mongolian?
When North Korea did it, if you had to deal with it, you better have Java 6.105, Java 791, or Java 865 installed. If you want to deal with the Turkey thing that just happened, well, no, there isn't even a Java update for it yet. Meaning, you got to run the TZ update application, which is included in your JRE.
It's a good thing that almost nobody has to deal with this.
So it's
almost
interesting.
everyone only deals with UTC and their local time. However,
this only
what
happens...
if you went on vacation to Turkey right now and brought your phone with you and you got off the plane, you looked at your phone and go, oh, fuck, you got the time wrong.
So young people
and you
in
missed your
Turkey,
plane on the way home.
You know what was trending in Turkey? What time is it?
Yeah.
People are making fun of this all day.
Yep.
But so this pretty much only happens in countries that have bad tech governance or unstable
bad
regimes.
governance.
I mean, look, Turkey, North Korea, Morocco. Here's the great
A government that is busy spending time messing with its time is a government that is not really governing.
An individual Mexican state made a change at one point. That actually affected me.
But in the U.S., that can't even happen. The federal government controls times.
Yeah, NIST and everything.
Right.
So I'm going to read to you the update.
How in Mexico, they don't have it that way?
I'm going to read you the update from the Moroccan one from TZ Data 2015E.
All right.
Quote, Morocco will suspend DST from 2015-06-14, 3 a.m. through 2015-07-19, 2 a.m., not 6-13 and 7-18, as guessed. They don't even maintain it. The person who maintains the zone files in Java had guessed at what they were going to do, and then the government did something different. So, yeah, you guys, the moral of this news is that a lot of the stuff on the back end of computers,
well, as long as you haven't
time,
reached that time yet, as long as like you haven't, nothing's happened yet, you can guess and change the zone files as long as you don't reach that time.
Yeah.
While you're wrong, and you'll be okay.
But all these updates, there's no programmatic feed of this crap. At the end, somewhere in your Linux distro or in Java or in MySQL, there's some dude like me who sees a government news release and says, I'd better type a bunch of XML somewhere so other people can get that update.
There is a website that has the time news.
Yeah, so someone's got to type that into all these different systems.
Yep.
Things of the day. So, you remember Twitch Plays Pokemon, which was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And you should go watch like 5 minutes of it just to understand the glory of this. Don't watch the whole thing unless you're crazy. But the idea was that Twitch people could just type commands in and they collectively played Pokemon as though a million voices were screaming at a screen and hitting buttons all at the same time. And they did eventually beat the game, and it was kind of crazy. This, my thing of the day, is Twitch installs Arch Linux. And the best part about this is that a bunch of people organized a botnet and they basically took over the stream and partially installed Gentoo instead.
Sure, why not?
So I think this is wonderful.
Okay, do you know who Todd Fry is?
Todd Fry? No.
Todd Fry is the person who made Pac-Man for
okay.
the Atari 2600.
Oh, I saw a video. Oh, I saw this video.
Yes, this video. So, this guy, Todd Fry, everyone knows Pac-Man for the Atari 2600 is not a good Pac-Man.
It is.
The Atari 2600 was very limited in its technological capabilities and could not produce the same Pac-Man that you played in the arcade. Even the 7800 could only get close. Even the NES could only really get kind of close,
For a lot of reasons.
I guess Super Nintendo could be perfect, effectively, mostly. I'm sure some emulator nerd's going to be like, no, it's off by,
You got MAME, it's fine.
It's
but
close enough, right?
Yeah.
I mean, NES Galaga is an okay Galaga. It's playable enough, right?
Yep.
Whatever.
But Atari Pac-Man was kind of infamous.
Atari 2600 Pac-Man was bad, right? You don't want to play that. It's not, it's not real Pac-Man. Anyway, so somebody, of course, years having it been since the 80s, made a demo of Atari 2600 Pac-Man. They just coded it themselves from scratch, and it was vastly superior to the official Atari 2600 Pac-Man. It had the right colored ghosts. It blinked a lot less. It flickered a lot less. It had
when the guy's talking about
it had the right maze,
the anti-flicker algorithm that he came up with.
Right. So here at some convention or something, I don't know where this is. Todd Fry, the guy who made that old Pac-Man, comes along and sees this demo of somebody being like, here's how you should have done it. I'm better than you at programming. Take that, Todd Fry.
And he's basically like, wow, yeah.
And he comments on it, and he's like, holy shit. And that's this video, so watch this.
This reminds me a lot of
by the way, 8K. Imagine you have 8K. You got to make Pac-Man happen. That ain't easy.
Yeah, that used to be considered a lot of memory, too. Think about that.
That's a fuck ton.
Yeah. Now that's smaller than, like, a page.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
If you make a text file,
you can't address that little memory.
You just made 8K in like the space in the file system structure.
8K, you could type 8K of text and not that long.
Yeah.
So this reminds me of that guy way back who took the code from E.T. and tweaked it to make E.T. a way better game too.
Mm-hmm. But this is like a fresh game. This isn't a remix.
In the meta moment, the book was The Wheel of Time, book 1. We're burning through those books until we get sick of them.
I sort of slowed down a bunch because stuff.
Yeah, I think we should do a special episode.
I did like beginning of book 5 and then
that's right around where I stopped. So let's do a special episode at some point when we have free time.
Book 1 through 4?
Yeah, just talk about those books, like the continuing book club.
Okay.
But read the first book at least. That's the last Geeknights book club book. It's Fantasy Book the Novel, and we did a show on it.
If you like fantasy novel, you'll like this book.
Yeah. Matt, people learn to shut up by the 5th book, mostly. But otherwise, the next convention we've got is MagFest. We're definitely going to be there. I got my badge confirmed and my guest status.
I didn't get my badge confirmed.
Did you fill out your business?
I filled out the form, and I never heard anything since then.
Did you fill out the badge form that was like, this is your badge?
I did not get one of those.
Yeah, you really need to respond to emails I sent.
I didn't get any emails.
Anyway, just partly
I filled out the form that you sent me a link to.
Yeah, like 2 months after I sent it to you.
And then I have not, you sent me an email, and I have not heard anything at all since then. I have not received any email from anybody.
Worst case, I'll just do all the panels on my own, and you can get a badge. But we'll be
Isn't
at
it
MagFest.
sold out? Can I even get a badge?
Well, I promise we'll be at MagFest doing a bunch of panels as part of the majors, like we always do.
If I don't get a badge, I just won't go.
MagFest, you wouldn't go. I would go anyway. MagFest is one of our favorite cons.
I'm saying if it's sold out and they don't give me a badge, I'm not gonna hassle to go get one.
I'll bet you could scalp one for cheap.
I'm not scalping. Well, that's a pain in the ass.
Anyway, that aside, we've got a Patreon now, as we talked about, and if we hit our first stretch goal, I am re-releasing, remastered, all the original beta pre-release episodes of Geeknights for everyone but the 2 people who have found them because they are actually...
I've told people, it's just like, it's seriously not hard to find them if you just have common sense and whatever, but some people actually found them, finally.
Yeah, eventually we got to get those guys on the show.
They're not stupid like other people are.
Yeah, but I'm going to re-release them with some commentary if we hit our first stretch goal, I guess.
I don't know how you commentate on a podcast, have 2 audio tracks overlapping.
I'm going to listen to it, and before you listen to the thing, I'm going to talk for 5 minutes about how we made it and all the stuff.
So you're going to alternate between talking and not...
Nope, no, I'm not even going to alternate. I'm going to do a 5-minute thing, and then you're going to hear the episode. I'm not putting that much effort in.
Oh, okay.
Jesus, you kidding? But, yeah, and go to check out the Patreon because we got a bunch of stretch goals, one of which is we'll both literally, we're not joking, quit our jobs and make Geeknights full-time. I don't think we'll hit that stretch goal. But beyond all that, listen to Geeknights after the credits because now I have to do a stinger every episode we do, calling people out and doing something stupid. And I have provided stupid things for every episode we've done.
Okay.
So... a lot of people a lot of people we know, a lot of people out there have smartphones with shattered screens.
Or other sorts of brokenness.
I mean, you still use them. They kind of work. The battery's dented. The screen, there's an area on the touch screen that doesn't work. I know people have laptops where half the screen literally doesn't display anything.
It's not just smartphones. It's all kinds of stuff. I mean, you got people with analog sticks in their controllers that snapped off.
Dude brought a laptop to Kineticon to do a panel. Good panel, smart dude. But he goes to plug in his laptop and he's like, the VGA won't work. And I look at it and the VGA port is battered beyond recognition. And I was like, there's no way you're plugging a VGA cable into that.
Yeah, people with cables that are all frayed.
Yep, I see USB cables that are just a bunch of the 4 internal wires kind of on their own.
You got people with really dirty mice and keyboards. They're disgusting.
We're not talking about dirt, though. That's a whole separate ballgame.
All right, fine. They got one where some keys don't work.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen mice where a key doesn't work, and people are totally okay with that.
Whoa.
So how does this happen?
People just don't take care of their shit, right? It's let's say I gave you, Rym. How much is your phone worth on the market?
My phone, $150. It's an old, mostly working Nexus 5.
All right, $150 phone. What if I gave you a vase, a porcelain vase that was $150 worth? How would you treat that vase?
I'd sell it immediately because vases are stupid.
You wanted a vase. You had some flowers you actually needed to put in it, and it was a really awesome, nerdy vase.
All right, so there's a big difference there already that's going to highlight the point of this
episode.
The
thing you care about?
No. If I own a vase... I don't put it in my pocket and carry it with me literally every hour of every day. I put it in one place, out of reach of bunnies and dogs and children, and I never touch it except to dust it once a week.
The point is that you...
I don't put it on the edge of a precarious shelf.
Right. When you are handling it, this valuable item that you care about, you have a valuable thing that you care about. When you handle it, regardless of how often that is, you handle it with some measure of carefulness and respect.
But there is already a difference in that a lot of people I know don't take care of their shit. And that's a whole...
They don't take care of their shit in general.
Yeah, their lives.
Yeah.
Like Rick and Morty. You need to get your shit and get it all together. I don't care if you put it in a bag or a backpack. Just get it all and put it all in one place so your shit's together.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, technology like smartphones... you carry with you all the time. You handle it 100 times more often than you handle anything else.
But it is still extremely valuable. You care about it a fuck ton, and it's worth hundreds of dollars probably. So when you take it out of your pocket, don't just sort of hold it between 2 fingers while you're holding an ice cream in the other hand, right? Don't sort of, do anything dumb with it, right? Hold it carefully. Hold it close to you. If you're in a crowded place, you sort of hold it far away from you. Someone just walk up, snatch it, and run, right?
Yep.
It's be careful, be mindful of this. Imagine you're holding, if you have a brand new iPhone 6S, right? That's hundreds of dollars, $600 to $800 probably, right? Let's say it's the top of the line one. Would you just hold $600 bills just out there, sort of in between 2 fingers and one hand, right? It's what is wrong with
But at the same time, that's what I want to do with my $800.
If your hands are all dirty or maybe covered in butter grease because you ate a big pretzel or something that was all buttery, don't reach and touch your phone until you wash your hands.
But I guess the difference is with the phone, I pull it out a lot and poke at it a lot because I'm doing stuff with it actively all the time.
Yes, I do as well. But
And I'm not going to stop poking at it because I'll pull it out while I'm biking and like futz around with it.
But I won't do it like, for example, biking. If my phone starts ringing while I'm biking, I'll do a little pullover, stop, and then take the phone out.
Well, it depends already on where I am. Like,
I don't have the phone in one hand, looking at it while I'm biking with like one hand on the handlebar, paying attention to the phone. That just never happens. I've seen people do that. No, that is bad.
I do that.
Don't do that.
But I do that when I'm on like the super wide empty bike lane that's separated from the road over on the west side. I don't do that.
I
on
see
a
people
string
doing
with
that going
cars.
over the bridge, like uphill.
Dude, I saw a guy, he was walking, it wasn't even biking. That was today on my way home. I was standing at a light, the light was red, cars are just going by. Like, you couldn't jaywalk. Like, even the, like, hardest core New Yorker would not jaywalk.
Because it's
at this
green
time.
light for the cars, and you're
this
waiting.
dude, in hipster glasses, young dude, literally is on his phone talking and just walks into traffic. And a car almost hits him, lays on the horn, swerves out of the way, and he doesn't even look up. He just keeps walking and talking on his phone.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing.
Should have hit
and
him.
then no, so there's a loud crowd of people because rush hour.
Should have hit him.
So he gets to the sidewalk and there's a wall of people who are all staring at him and there's no way through. And he literally shoves his way through the crowd of people, mumbling, and goes on his way.
Dude, if he shoved me, that would have been it. Once someone shoves you, that's like license to kill.
Thing is, I ride the 7 to work, so I get shoved enough, and I also shove in return.
I would give him a little leg sweep. Little leg sweep back. He wouldn't know who did it.
So here's the thing. I've realized there's a fundamental thing with phones that are sort of different from all the other tech.
Is that it's a giant screen.
But you also carry with you all the time. So here's my rules. Number 1, you need to take a real hard look at yourself and decide something. Are you capable of exhibiting basic amounts of dexterity and not dropping your phone all the time?
Mm-hmm.
You need to honestly answer that question. If the answer is no, you are not capable, put your phone in one of those stupid heavy-ass cases that makes it twice as big and pay for Apple Care. Like, don't pretend that you're not going to break your phone. You broke the last 4. It's time to realize
But
that
the thing
you are
is,
not
I see
capable
people
of this.
getting cases. It's like, no, you shouldn't get a case. You should change yourself and not be a clumsy oaf.
But the reality is there are people who cannot change themselves. And my advice to you, you know what? Don't get
You
the
don't
case.
deserve to have a phone if you're a clumsy oaf. You shouldn't be carrying around $600 in your hands.
But there is a market for this. You pay for Apple Care, and then you just don't care anymore. Just drop your phone all the time. You're just paying a lot more money than I am.
Yeah, that's bad. I mean, if you saw someone being so wasteful, like, oh, I don't give a shit, I'll just break my car and buy a new one, I'm so got so much monies, then that's a bad person.
Yeah,
so,
what I find is that in general, the people who have
I don't need
less...
to take care of my phone, I'll just buy an expensive case or buy a new phone and pay for Apple Care.
Well, the thing is, I use my phone naked. I decided a long time ago that I want my phone to be small.
I got a case when I had the iPhone 3G originally, because like I didn't think about it, and then after a while, I just kept I took the case off, and then I took the screen protector off, and then I haven't put a protector on since. And the only time I had a problem was when my phone was assumedly safely like inside my bag.
Nope.
And I fell off my bike like a dumbass, not getting hit by anything, just falling like a stupid.
Yeah, I mean, that
and
happens.
the phone happened to be on the falling side.
I mean, sometimes phones break.
In a bag.
Like, sometimes phones just break. Like, literally, my old Nexus 4, the screen shattered when nothing was happening.
There's always an excusable situation for breaking, right? For example, maybe it exploded like it's a bad battery. It happens. It's happened more than once. Maybe it's just defective. I mean, I had the home button not working situation. I had to get a recall, right? That wasn't my bad. That was, it was a recalled device. They made it wrong.
Or like my Nexus 5 has a crack in the bottom. You know why? Because it wouldn't fit, because it was too big and it wouldn't fit in the case I put my Nexus 4 in when I used to run. And I was in Hong Kong and I wasn't going to not run. So I went running in the mountains, just holding my phone in my hand. And of course, I fucking fell down the mountain, broke the bottom of my phone.
Yeah, there are other weird situations too. Like your phone is safely on a table and, it's perfectly safe in a safe place.
And someone else knocks an expensive vase over and it crashes
or,
into it.
Somebody just spills a soda from like a ridiculously long distance away and it gets your phone wet and that's the end, right?
Yeah.
And this kind of stuff can happen. And even, it's okay if that kind of thing happens. It happens all the time. It's life. Accidents are not completely avoidable. However, there are many situations for which there is no excuse. For example, your screen is scratched the fuck up because you put your phone in the same pocket with your keys.
I don't understand that.
That is just like, my boss did that, and he just got a new phone, so he's like, I'm not
Like,
putting it in the pocket with the keys anymore because we
I
all
think
gave
it's
him
dumb.
such
Like,
shit for doing it.
I would never use one because I just think they're silly, but I can understand the rationale of someone using one of those like thick cases that protects their phone. But the people who put those little like thin screen protectors,
I did that originally, and then I took that off because I was like, wow, this is dumb.
I mean, it is real hard to scratch that glass already. Like, you got to work at it.
I've had an
scratch
iPhone
glass.
3G, an iPhone 4, an iPhone 5, and now I'm an iPhone 6. And all of those phones, the only time any of them was ever in a case was the original iPhone 3G for a few months. And the only one that ever broke was the iPhone 5 when I fell off my bike, and I was able to get it repaired because all that really happened was like the screen wasn't even broken. It was just like dented in the metal in the back, and the cable connecting the screen to the board got sort of pulled out. So they sort of just reconnected it and put my phone back together, and it was fine until the iPhone 6 came out and I replaced it. So I've gone that long without ever, and I've not.
Well,
you know
Scott,
what?
you're conflating breaking and scratching.
I've dropped my phone many times. Like, you get out of bed in the morning, you reach over and try to get off the nightstand, you just knock it onto the floor. You're like, that kind of shit happens, and my phone is still in perfect condition despite that.
Part
so
of that
what
is luck.
kind of drop do you need to have
Well, part
to
of that is
actually
luck.
break
Like,
the screen?
I saw some things where someone took a Nexus 5 and they showed, like, if you drop it and it lands on, like, certain spots, the screen just shatters, but at 1 degree angle different, and it's totally fine.
They measured it with, like, a caliper. Like,
No, they were doing that Consumer Reports style, like, they shot it out of this little, like, slingshot gun.
how did they know it wasn't just because that was the third or fourth drop?
No, they used a bunch of different phones. Like, they were doing stuff.
Okay.
But the
Or
broken
how did
phone
know
is
that
one
one wasn't
thing.
a defective one?
The scratch phone, there is no excuse for scratching the screen on a phone. It can't happen unless you're a
Did
moron.
you turn it face down on the cement and move it around?
Yeah, just like take it to the beach and just like roll it around.
Why
in
did
the
you take your
sand.
phone to the beach?
I do in a Ziploc bag. That works.
Oh, I guess in a Ziploc bag. But
Or
it's like,
you know what?
I don't want
Modern
to. You're
phones,
gonna leave your really expensive phone just sitting by the chair while you go in the water?
pick it in the water with you.
No, don't do that.
The Nexus, not the Nexus, the Sony Xperia's 100% waterproof.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, like that's actually great.
Like, you can just dunk it in the ocean?
Yeah, 30
Even
meters.
salt water?
30 meters. Go fucking
Salt water?
nuts. Well, so the warranty, they say no salt water because, reasons. But the reality is it's totally fine.
Oh.
Yeah.
When we actually went to the wedding, I had my phone in my pocket and I forgot it was there, and I started to walk into the water, and then I said, "Oh no," and I got out of the water. But you know what? I've gotten my phone like wet on occasions. Like, I've been out in the rain with the phone and it got a whole bunch of drops of rain on it, like crazy heavy rain.
So like a few months ago.
And never has it been wet enough to cause it to malfunction in any significant fashion whatsoever. So it's
few
like,
months ago, I was
you have to
feeling-
really get your phone wet to make water hurt it.
I was feeling kind of shitty, like getting sick. So I just took a long hot shower, and while I was standing in there for like 5 minutes, just like, I was holding my phone in my hand out of the water, just like reading Fark.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sneezed, and I just dropped my phone just right into the stream of water, whoosh, submerged.
Uh-oh.
And I went, and I picked it up, and I wiped it off. Totally fine.
Oh, fine. So it's like, to ruin your phone with water, it's like, whoa, what did you do?
Yeah.
Like, did you just throw it in a swimming pool? Did you just put it in the sink?
Well, I used to not understand the people who would drop their phones in the toilet, but then I noticed something. A lot of the old people I know, they wear their smartphones in holsters on their belt.
What the fuck? That's
And
like
it'll just-
BlackBerry style.
And it'll just pop out of those holsters.
Yeah.
Like, boop.
The BlackBerry holster actually lets the BlackBerry know when it's in the holster.
Yeah,
or
it does with
not.
that magnet.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's not just phones, even though it's the most broken thing, right? It's all kinds of stuff. I mean, I see people with laptops that are beat the fuck up, and it's like, what the hell did you
Now,
do?
if you have a tough book and that's the point, like you take it to the beach, okay, cool.
But like, I see, like, I have all my laptops forever. The only damage that's been done to them is stickers added.
Yeah.
They have not been. I don't have any keys popping off the keyboard. I don't have any, like the back of the plastic chipping off. Like, nothing has ever happened to it to break it in any way. And all I can think is, number one, most of the times I see this, it's people with like really fragile, crappy laptops from like Asus.
yeah,
or
those
something,
things like I've dropped my Lenovo laptops significant distances and they've been fine. I've seen Asuses that broke because you put them in your Timbuktu bag next to a single book.
Yeah, don't buy pieces of junk. But I've seen MacBooks that are basically like steel or aluminum, I guess, and people are denting the hell out of them, and it's like, What did you do? You put it in a bag nicely. You don't have to. You just toss it in the bag. You don't have to and then you take it out.
They do the same thing
you
they do with their phone.
You put it back in the bag.
They don't throw it in a
and
dedicated...
like you slamming it down on the table?
No,
or
it's
you're
obvious.
Like...
I've seen this. It's the same thing people do with phones when they scratch them up. They don't put the laptop in a case or something and slide it into their bag. They toss it into a big open backpack next to a whole bunch of stuff like their phone, and they're all banging into each other. So... to turn the show away from we're just superior to you and to actual advice.
But we are.
Here are Rym's rules of not breaking your phone. 1, get a smartwatch so you don't take it out of your pocket all the time.
That's a smartwatch does reduce the number of times you take the phone out of the pocket, which thus reduces the number of opportunities you have for breaking the phone by taking it out.
2, if you're taking it out of your pocket, hold on to it before you take it out. Most people I see people drop their phones literally every day, and all that happens is they put their hand in their pocket, they pull it out, and then they immediately drop it as soon as their hand comes out of their pocket. I don't know how that happens. Just don't do that. That's my advice.
Don't touch your phone if there's anything wrong with your hands, right? Like if you just were having a snow fight, or if you just were
you're covered in sand.
If you're
just
kneading some dough in the kitchen, or any kind of thing on your hands. Maybe you were rubbing some butter on them for some fun times, a little whipped cream action, right? If your hands are messed up in any way, don't touch the phone. Wash them and get them nice and okay before you touch the phone.
Never put the phone in any compartment with anything else ever.
Mm-hmm. Unless it's like paper.
Yeah, even that. Don't. Why do people put their phone in the same pocket as their keys? Are you a moron?
I don't know.
You've got more than one pocket. What's in all those other pockets?
It's like I put
I've got at least 3 or 4 pockets on every pair of pants I own.
Mm-hmm.
5, don't put your phone in your back pocket. You're going to sit on it.
Yeah, I don't put anything in any back pocket ever.
I put my wallet back there.
I do not. That causes weird sitting.
No, it doesn't.
It does. Even with a tiny wallet, it causes weird sitting.
1, my wallet's tiny.
And even if it doesn't cause weird sitting, you now have this thing squeezing into your butt.
No, 2, buy nice pants. The back pocket is shifted a little bit away from the pelvic bone and up, so you're not actually sitting on it. It's to the side of the butt when you sit down.
So now if someone walks by, they can just take your wallet right out
No,
of there.
because they're fucking tight pants. I defy you to get your hand into my pants and get that wallet out.
Oh, that's going in the thread. That's going in the thread right there. You know what thread we're talking about.
Plus, honestly, if I'm in a place where pickpocketing is a real possibility, which is not common anymore in most places, I shift it to the front pocket while I'm standing there.
Everything I have is always in the front pocket always.
Well,
Why not?
Front left pocket, keys.
Front left pocket, phone.
Front right pocket,
wallet.
phone. Back left pocket,
Nothing.
wallet. Back right pocket,
Nothing.
If I have a piece of paper like a boarding pass.
Okay,
it goes
sure,
there.
maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
extra thing
okay,
goes
yeah,
there.
Yeah, maybe.
Occasionally, I'll shift the phone to the back pocket while I'm walking upstairs because phones are too big and I can't bend my leg that much with tight jeans, but it goes back into the front pocket immediately afterward.
My keys, I say front right pocket wallet, front left pocket phone. Keys go into a different place. Like if I have my messenger bag, my keys are on the little rope.
Yeah, they immediately.
Right?
Keys go somewhere else if you got a bag.
But maybe I'm going somewhere and wearing a coat, I'll put the keys in the coat pocket. Or maybe I'm going somewhere on a bike, they'll go in the little thing on the bike jersey. It's like the keys always go in the extra place.
But
and if I have to, I can stick them in with the wallet in the right pocket.
The phone goes by itself no matter what, and you never put it in the back pocket and then sit on it.
Yes.
Just don't do that.
Don't.
There's really no other rules.
Don't be forceful with stuff. Treat it like it's a vase and be careful.
I see people holding their phones with death grips.
Imagine, all right, look at whatever device you have near you, whatever kind of thing you have that you care about. Maybe your watch, your phone, your laptop, maybe your TV in your house, or, any kind of electronic gadget you care about, your camera, right, with your expensive lenses on it, right? Imagine right now, you close your eyes, imagine that thing, breaking, like so broken that it's beyond repair, like got hit with a sledgehammer, it's broken, super broken. Now imagine how upset you are that this thing is broken. How upset are you? Okay, if you want to avoid being that upset, be fucking careful.
Of course, there's also another split here between devices that require maintenance and devices that do not. There's no maintenance to do on your phone. It's just a phone.
That's true.
But my computer, the other day, I went to render Geeknights, and it took way longer than usual. It took 10 minutes to render out the episode. I was like, what?
What?
What? So I look, and my processor was clocking at like 1.6 gigahertz.
Okay.
That's a full gigahertz less than what it is supposed to be running at.
Is
So I
the
look.
heatsink dead?
My computer just needs to be cleaned out. One of the fans is not spinning that well, and I just don't have efficient. It's time to clean my computer. Most people I know
Never clean.
Yeah, not going to name any names, but certain people who live in Pennsylvania that I know, your computers inside of them have entire civilizations wrought from the dust of eras long past.
Mites, the Mite Kingdom.
A mighty kingdom.
Yes.
So, if you have an electronic device, learn if it requires maintenance or not.
And this applies to even things that you like wouldn't think about. Like I have a clippers to shave my head, the same ones that Barbara has.
That little book that came with it probably said, like, put oil in this spot.
You
every
gotta
2 years.
grease that shit up once in a while according to the instructions, right? I mean, like almost like I have a digital camera. The sensor, like, gotta be cleaned once in a while if anything got in there. You know, it's like, lenses, you gotta clean them at least a little bit. You don't have to clean them that much, right? But
yeah, but
it's like almost everything that you have. I mean, I had a cast iron pot that came with maintenance instructions. Follow those.
Yeah, but like phones don't. Like, there's nothing to do except my old Palm Pre actually needed to be taken apart and dusted regularly because of poor design. Like, I opened it one day and it was full of dust like a computer. I was
Get yourself a can of air.
Yep, I was dumbstruck by that. Seriously though, most of you can't take our advice, and you're gonna keep breaking your stuff. My advice to you is, if the stuff that you keep breaking matters to you, pay for the Apple Care equivalent.
Oh, how
for
many
that
like
thing.
3DSs you see with, like snap screens and shit?
Yep.
Oh my
My
God.
3DS lasted for a long time, but finally the screen.
You
has
broke it on purpose.
No, I'm not gonna replace it.
Oh, you even broke another one?
What?
You're the clumsy oaf breaking your 3DSs.
I've never broken a 3DS.
I've never
I broke
broken
my original fat DS.
I've never broken any Nintendo portable gaming platform.
My original fat DS broke. My old regular DS made it until like about a year ago, and it still mostly works fine. But like one corner of the screen goes all flickery weirdly, and I think like the LED is dying there. Like something weird's happening to it. Not that I really need it anymore, because I got my 3DS, which is fine, working like a champ, and I don't really use it because I've played every game I care about on it. And there aren't new games that matter.
Why don't they make Mario Maker for it, assholes?
That would be great. There's rumors of the next console being good, but
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get it if it's Wii U compatible.
I might also get it. It's looking that might be the return to the console lands for Rym and Scott.
No, I'll just play the few games on it like I do with every Nintendo console and be done with it.
No, you return to the console land like on a vacation. You don't go live there. You live in PC land.
That's right.
But stop breaking your shit. This has been Geeknights with Rym and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.
And so the odyssey into dumb things that I can think of putting at the end of episodes continues, as per our new Patreon reward tiers, quote, "This is super dumb, but if you support us this much, Rym will say your name at the end of each episode after the credits, along with some ultra dumb stinger content." We're talking Rym's YouTube likes dumb. So without further ado, in order of the money that you're giving us, the people above the arbitrary line I set in the sand are Rebecca Dunn, Nicholas Brandow, James David White, Christian Kuntz, Jessica L. Barlow, Mechanical Mind, Rym Eats Poop, Edgar Mendez, William Eisenrose, Chris Midkiff, Chris Knox, Flame Darkfire, Samuel Cordery, Daniel Redmond, Chris Haddad, Doug Snyder, Sean Klein, Chris Reimer, and Thomas Hahn. And now I present, for your enjoyment something really dumb.
One, two. What's that smell? Zelda, the music of my groin.